1, 2.
Talking about musicians, the cool things and stuff. But the
When are your radios open?
Whenever.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hi, Harley.
Hello, Josh. How
I'm
you doing?
actually seeing you face to face.
I know, like, I have to say, I got so frustrated on the last show that we did. Just, we had so many issues with sound dropping out, losing connection online and stuff like that. And that's partially why it's been such a while to do it, because it frustrated me to the point I just didn't look forward to doing this. So now we're allowed.
We're just so you know, we're not face to face.
Yeah,
we're face 2 meters face.
Yeah, with a table in the middle in my back garden, my new back garden.
He's put like a pop shield in the way, just like one giant pop shield made out of one big pair of pantyhose.
That's it, man. I wonder how social distant, like how this is going to affect pop shields in the future. Are they going to be disposable?
They'll just be like burned immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Dipped in hand gel. And then set fire to, and you'll just see it burn away the alcohol.
Poor old Angel, station manager of the IR radio. Constantly oh, mate. Well, how are you, Harley?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah?
I'm all right. It's, it's been a struggle. For dear old me.
I can imagine.
The end seems to be in sight. I don't know if I'm getting overly...
Are you talking about lockdown, or are you going to end it all?
Lockdown, hopefully. Lockdown.
Okay, good.
I'm hopeful, more hopeful than that.
There we go. That's a good plot thread tied up there, ladies and gentlemen. Harley's not going to kill himself. Yay!
I was listening to a podcast this morning where Adam Buxton interviewed Billy Connolly.
Brilliant.
Which is very good. I mean, that guy is a very wise man. He has become in his old age, and talked about how he had to apologise because he did a documentary on the BBC and saying how he's kind of how his Parkinson's means he's kind of wasting away and such like that. And a lot of people thought that was him saying goodbye, and that was the end. And he was like, "Oh no, I'm not dying. Yeah, I mean I will die.
I'm getting better."
But he was saying like. He was got mistaken for saying that this was the end for him.
This is his swan song in a podcast.
So yeah, it's definitely not the end for me.
Good. I'm very glad. So I mean, we haven't spoken probably about a month, I think it is.
Yeah.
We haven't recorded us speaking in just over a month.
Over a month.
I'd love to catch up with what you've been doing musically, Mr. Harley Cotton. I know that you've been a busy bee.
It's been a weird one. I've not done a lot of my music.
Mime music. That'd be quite difficult because it'd just be silence.
I tell you what, it's all kind of happened in the last week that I've been trying to do various things, but with the house move, with trying to get work because
job market's a bit nothing right now.
It's a bit nothing, and there's not really a lot of support for my particular position as a musician.
Downward dog.
Yeah. The self-employment grant has not been particularly fruitful for myself, so I've been having to kind of seek temporary work, which I've managed to do in the last couple of weeks, which has been keeping me busy.
Nice.
But then
anything fun and interesting for you?
No, I mean, no, it's not gigging. I tell you that.
Yeah, nothing can touch that, right?
And I played bass to track some bass on for a video the other day, and I was like, I really miss doing this.
Yeah.
And doing this regularly. And it kind of it chokes me up a little bit of just how alive just playing for 5 minutes made me feel.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, so yeah, I can't wait to get back to doing that full time.
Definitely.
However, in the last kind of week or so, we've had a lot of things happen in terms of Chart Attack at once.
Good.
So we've had the videos from our New Year's have had their first draft.
Cool.
And they look absolutely incredible. Like, it's the best promo we've done.
It's from the Deves.
From the Deves.
Brilliant.
We've got a short 1-minute video to go on Instagram and a longer one that will be put on Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that.
I cannot wait to see this.
And oh my God, I'll show you at the end of the show.
I've had so much FOMO that I can finally not mow.
I was watching the video going, Oh man, I'm missing out. It looks, honestly, we had a lot of fun there, but it looked like we were having even more fun.
You were FOMO, but you did not mow.
Yeah, it was.
Was this all by Mr. Dan Oaten?
Dan Oaten, yeah, and I cannot thank that guy enough. Has done an incredible job.
Well done.
Yeah, making it looks so professional. And I mean, I'm not saying I doubted anything from the start because in the past when he's done a great job, and I've seen videos he's done. I just didn't think that what he was going to do, you know, taking a small amount of equipment across to the other side of the world, filming in ridiculous heat, and has one shot to get everything.
Right.
We only did one gig, so that one gig was the only chance we had to kind of get it right, you know. And it was just phenomenal. Like,
did he also record the smaller acoustic set you guys did in the other bar or something?
No, we did. That was a full band set.
It was a full band set.
It was a full band set, but he didn't film that because we were like, well, we want to cut it into one video.
Yeah,
we don't want to kind of cut between two locations and make it look a bit
jarring.
Yeah. So we didn't do that. We let him have a night off.
And you have to wear the same clothes every for 2 gigs straight.
Yeah,
Yammer.
yeah.
Welcome to Lockabilly's shirt.
Thank you. But yeah, so that came through. But now we've got that. All of with the audio that we worked to 2 new songs, and we forgot we had to record those. So we're now right, all hands on deck to record all our parts to get that to him. So that's going to get sorted hopefully this week or beginning of next week, as well as we've just finished doing some COVID covers that we've been working on in our houses, just to kind of quick home recordings and putting them all together. So I've got a fair bit of homework to edit all that together.
Nice, yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? It's really fun to get it done, but then when you actually have to do the editing is the hard part. Yeah,
like I love like mixing and all of that, but the editing side of the stuff is a bit more of a job.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's just not quite so second nature to you.
No. So that was that's a thing that is happening, but hopefully we'll get that soon out there. So get on the Chart Attack page if you want to see when that comes out. It's going to be.
Is there an
at? I think it was just at Chart Attack UK.
Good.
I think we're on Instagram as at Chart Attack UK. The same. If not, just search us. But there'll be. Yeah, I'm sure you'll find it. We're that famous. just write.
I've not heard of any other Chart Attack. You know.
No, I was surprised that name wasn't taken when we picked it. Actually,
Puns Central.
It's all about them puns.
Absolutely, man.
So yeah, there's that. I've been working a lot again with Charlie. She's released her EP.
Brilliant. What's it called?
It's called Blossoms.
Blossoms. Good.
Which is a song that she recorded with Rob.
Mm-hmm.
He arranged. I can remember. I think it might be like 3rd or 4th song in, but he arranged a really good piano and acoustic guitar kind of piece for that.
Is she going under a moniker? I know her name's not Monica, but is it?
She's under I think Charlotte Sutton.
Charlotte Sutton, cool.
So
so that is going to be out as of this week. It's now kind of in processing.
Currently floating around the air and being formed into a Spotifyable beast. If you go on her music page, which is just Charlotte Sutton, there's a button you can click and you can pre-subscribe.
Yeah, pre-follow.
Pre-follow, that's it. So when it gets up there, you'll be notified and be able to listen to it all in its entirety. I say the song's Blossoms is a beautiful song.
For fans of?
I would say it's nice, easy, folky pop, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, it's all very raw instruments, very real, you know, very little like pop synth. So yeah, it's.
If you could think of an artist that you'd be like, she would work well.
I think that's hard for me to do because I'm too close in.
Yeah, I bet.
So I think that may be something for somebody else to comment. So if anybody can listen to it and just, you know, let us know or let her know what comparisons you could draw for people who are fans of such and such, and hopefully we'll be able to get a better picture, because I think I'm too in deep for that.
Yeah, absolutely is. It's very difficult to sort of see the wood for the trees when you've been mixing for a long time.
It's great because I've been teaching her to do her own mixing as well.
Nice. Yeah, so she did say she pushed some buttons and moved some levers.
We spent a day yesterday. Was it yesterday or day before? And I went, right, I told her to plug everything in, set up my overly complicated mic system, and record
What
a
was
track.
the overcomplicated mic system?
Because I've got a separate power supply for the microphone, so you've got to go from the microphone into the box, turn the box on.
Is this like the U47 or 87?
U47, yeah.
47, yeah.
And then from the box, then into the inputs, and make sure the sound card's plugged into the computer, because I use the laptop that's not always there, and sometimes plug the speakers in because we're sharing a plug with the printer. 'Cause we haven't quite fully settled to a permanent setup just yet. So
Yeah.
it's there. But now she can kind of. I've been working in Chelmsford today, so she took herself upstairs to the studio this morning, and she phoned me up. She's like, "Can you listen to my mix and make sure it's all right? You might hate it. I might have done some things wrong."
She played it down the phone.
said-
sounds a bit tinny.
Yeah, and it was really good. It was really cool. And she said to me, she said, she's like, I might have done something and you might hate it, so I'm really sorry. And I'm like, if you're doing things that you think I might hate, it means you're being creative. It means you're doing things in a way that's explorative.
I've cut you out completely.
Yeah.
What?
What? Yeah, I have changed the locks.
You can't change me.
I see what you did there.
Pun C. That's what we're doing today. Pun Central.
It's all about Pun Central. Welcome to Pun Central. That's where I've moved. If anybody wants to know, just Google Pun Central and look it up on Google Maps.
I Pun 3.
Oh, I see what you did there.
So who did you use for your aggregate in the end?
So we used DistroKid.
DistroKid, cool, to get it out to Spotify, etc.
Yeah, we looked into. I think that's someone you suggested.
And Rainer as well.
Yeah, you suggested and went. Rainer has sponsored it in the past, so hit him up
Discount kid,
for a
right?
discount, and we did that. We didn't actually use his discount because by the
Too
time
good for him. Oh, I see.
Well, we forgot, and then by the time we realised we'd already started doing everything.
I know the
And
feeling.
it's already quite affordable anyway. I think it cost her like $25 to have everything uploaded.
It's crazy.
And it's a subscription thing.
And that's dollars as well. That's just like Monopoly money.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
Is it Australian
real money.
dollars?
Yeah. So it's there, it's ready to go, and it was so easy. I was thinking it was going to be so complicated to get stuff right and have everything in a way that's going to be protected in the way that you would, but it seems like it's kind of it's on there. So
it's much easier than you think it would. I mean, it would be, right, because you do have the things like the ISRC codes, and things that are making sure that you have, it sort of licensed to your own name, etc. But it's been streamlined so much now that it is so possible just to do the mixing, mastering, recording, and the marketing and publishing and distribution all on one laptop or even a phone now.
yeah, you probably could. Yeah. It's technology, huh?
Crazy.
It's so crazy,
right?
So yeah, that's really cool to get that sort of done. And it's she's doing some really cool stuff.
So is it got the one release right now? Are you gearing up for more?
Yeah, so it's going to be an EP. Technically, it's not. We got told off for calling it an EP because it's got 7 tracks, not 6.
Well, it's about runtime. It's usually if it's over 25 minutes, it's an LP.
According to DistroKid, it has to be 6 songs or less, or between 4 and 6 songs.
Making up their own rules.
Yeah, I know. So we were like, well, I guess it's an album then, which is silly because we had more songs that we could have put on there, but we want to keep it short.
See, what you should have done is do the Offspring thing, or like the huge thing that in bands when we were in our teens where they would just leave a big bunch of silence at the end and just put another track at the end of one track, right? Like, is this track really 10 minutes when you've put it into like, iTunes in the early 2000s? Like, no, it's just 5 minutes of stuff. Ooh, there's one random thing where he just says like, eat donkey crap or something.
Yeah, all of that. Bring that back, man.
Yeah, no.
Bring back the 90s secret track.
Yeah, well, it's the thing now. Like, if you're scrolling through Spotify or an artist library and you see a track that's 9 minutes, you're like, I'll skip that one because it's well long. I just want something bite size. Whereas you realise it is actually 2 tracks. Yeah.
See, I listen to prog, so seeing a song that's 9 minutes long, you're like, ooh, a short one.
It's a songcast. I can listen to this in the bath and I'll be done with it.
Yeah. It's like an egg timer, isn't it? But for people.
You use an egg timer in the bath. I'll be boiled and hard shelled by the end.
Oh, I've only got time to soft boil myself today.
I'm poached. Put a bit of vinegar in the
Peel your
bath.
skin off.
Yeah. Lovely.
Anyway.
Welcome to Cookery with Harley and Josh.
Uh,
Person cooking for cannibals.
So yeah, that's basically me up until now, really. I'm looking forward to getting stuff out there. I've been trying to force myself to do a bit of writing.
Good.
I've been able to kind of do a bit of that.
Here he is, his little song teasers again.
Because I've got the yeah, no, right. Well,
It's just like the big tease.
I would like to point out I'm yet to make anything of any value. But
that's not true.
I've got into the habit of waking up like really early, and so if I can sneak out of bed and spend a couple of hours in the studio with my headphones on before like we kind of start our day on our days off.
Of course it's of value, Harley. The biggest songs in the world right now are only worth 0.0003 pence anyway.
Well,
so, you know,
that's
you've only got 0.0003 pence to make up.
That's really low expectations, and yet I don't succeed. don't make quite to that. So,
I believe in you, man. You're worth at least 0.0004 pence to me.
Wow, I mean that's a compliment.
That's more than Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, I'm worth more than Bohemian. Oh, what is our industry? Yeah. What about you then? What have you been up to in our?
I will tell you, but first I want to ask you some questions.
Oh, go ask me some.
All
questions.
right, and I want you to answer them very carefully. What was your favourite musical moment for the past couple of weeks that I've not seen you? Musical moments.
I tell you what, my favourite musical moment. Favourite?
Talk to me about your favourite calls.
Put them in the bath.
Ooh, poached.
So I tell you what, my favourite musical moment. It's a bit sappy.
Oh, good.
But so last night, again, I forget what time it was. It was maybe the night before. It was the night before. Playing, so I've shown Charlie how to do various things, and we'd spent about 45 minutes going through the various points of this is how you arm a track, this is how you record. You might want to double track the vocals here and there, and then at a certain point she goes, "Right, get out. I've got a few ideas, but I just want to try them out." Okay, and I went downstairs. I did some washing up. And I got breakfast ready for the next day and stuff like that. And I went up and she's there. She's
hunched.
And she's doing little edits, and then she's going back, and then she goes to record a vocal line just to do a harmony, and she messes up, and she goes, and then she goes that again.
Yeah.
And she's like, she is down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Of recording and writing and experimenting with digital
and for both
music.
of you, like, shoes on the other foot there, right? So
Yeah, and
you're kind of like in a different room while she's producing.
Yeah.
And you're like, do you want a cup of tea?
Exactly.
Go away.
Yeah, it's that. And she's like, she's head down, she's in it, and she's so engrossed, and like the possibilities are limitless. That and she's learning how limitless.
That's lovely.
And I was just like,
or you can limit them.
Yeah, oh yeah. They're limitless or compressionless.
Yeah, or compressed or excited.
Expandless. So expandless.
Good. Well, what about?
Yeah.
Have you learned a particular musical lesson since I last saw you that you think was invaluable? That's French for invaluable.
Okay, I'm gonna go with it's a very nerdy technical thing.
Good.
I've learned the value of solid state bass amps.
Okay, it's Harley's Tech Corner.
Yeah.
What is a solid state bass amp?
Well, there are kind of two main schools of amplification, which is solid state
And elementary school.
and solid elementary, and sort of valve. Valves are tubes with vacuum bits or gases in them that light up and they glow and they heat up and they go pop sometimes.
If they're bad ones.
If they're bad, but it's fine. It's glass. You can replace them. And then solid state is more circuit based. They run off transformers or transistors and various stuff like that.
Or Decepticons.
The main crux of it is they sound different.
Right.
And everyone goes, valve amps are great. And then with guitar, that is definitely the case, and I like that. And I've been using a valve-based bass amp emulation, an Ampeg SVT.
That's a lot to say.
Yeah.
You said it so well, I wouldn't have.
I mean, I even shorted it to SVT. I don't know what those words stand for, but I guess
Scott Space teaching? No.
Solid valve technical. I don't know.
Oh yeah, true.
Probably something like that.
Right.
I guess. Space Vulture. trillions.
Technology.
Yeah. And that sounds great because that's the classic. It's the best amp like that people say there is, which is great.
So the Ampegs are SVTs, aren't they?
Yeah. And they're like amazing amps, and I've been using it and I love it. Love what the sound is. It's very kind of 70s, very proggy, rocky working sound. But then we've been doing some more sort of modern funky stuff, and I'm like, I want something that's a bit more I don't even know how to explain it, but it sounds great the way I've been using. I've been using like a Gallion-Kruger style amp, and it sounds just fantastic.
Amazing.
And I've just been loving it. So I've now kind of rejigged my pedal board, so I've got a valve preset and a...
This is your Helix?
Yeah. Right. And a solid state preset with all the same effects on, so I can jump between the two depending on what kind of job I'm doing.
Right. That's cool. Yeah, so if you're in a proggy kind of thing, you want to go for an SVT. If you're doing your sort of function stuff, or you will be doing some more funky slap bass, you want to be using some valve things.
Yeah, I would be using a solid state for sort of chart attack something.
Yeah.
And then, or if I just want to do something modern versus something vintage, because go back into the day of the classic funk bands, they'd be always using like the old Ampegs and the valvey stuff. I
want to stay in Harley's Tech Corner.
Okay.
I want to stay in Harley's Tech Corner here in this dusty little...
Yeah, pull up a chair,
smells like polish and WD-40.
Oh, yeah.
What is a single string pickup?
Oh, yeah, we talked...
You talked about this. I've never actually heard of this in my 20 years of playing guitar.
Yeah,
what?
It's kind of... I'd say it's fairly new technology. There's a guy...
It's probably based on very old technology.
Yeah. Well, it's just a pickup, but the idea is it's nice and small, and it only picks up one string.
So
or two strings.
Visualize it for people. Like in terms of a coin, how big is it?
Smaller than a 5p.
Wow. And where do you mount it?
So the one I've got is a like surface mount, so it'll fit on a scratch plate.
Right.
So it'll fit under the string, and it will just pick up the single string if you want it to.
Okay. And what about cabling or wires?
The one I've got, you can get them with a cable with a jack socket at the end.
Right.
They do have a or you can just so you can plug it and put it for a separate amp.
Okay. So how long is the jack cable that comes with it? Do you sort of like Velcro that to your other jacks?
Yeah, essentially. The one I've got, I haven't got a jack socket for.
Right.
It's hardwired, so I'm going to put like a stereo jack socket into my guitar, and then have a splitter, so I can do it with only having one cable hanging down, essentially. So it's nice and
what's the
subtle.
point?
What's the point in anything?
What's the point in anything, mate?
Close COVID. So I watched a gig with Jamie Lenman. I've probably talked about him before. He's amazing. Does these gigs where it's just him and a drummer.
Right, yes.
And he runs his guitar pickups into his guitar amp and distorts it and makes it sound like a guitar. But he just has a single string with a pickup underneath going into an octaver, pitch it down an octave, into a Fender Bassman bass amp, and he has this massive sound because he can play chords, but then the bass note is playing a single note.
Right, yeah. So like you've kind of turned your guitar into both a guitar and a bass.
Yeah, without having to sacrifice how you play. Apart from obviously you're always playing the bottom E string if you want the bass.
See, this sounds very interesting to me because I do that.
Yeah.
And I've been using the pitch shifting technology to sort of just try and play both the bass part and the guitar part at the same time. And it is really fun. But yeah, the problem is it just ends up just like when you play a chord, it sounds like a lot of mush.
Yeah.
So you kind of you limit what you play, like you say.
Yeah. So and this I'm yet to install it, but I will report back with what I can kind of get. But it's great. It's really cool. I say Jamie Lemon is the guy that kind of I was at a gig, and my friend Jack was the support band, and I said to him, "So what?" I said,
"What was this band again?"
Lower.
Lower. That was it. We played him on the show before.
Yeah, and I said to him, I was like, "What is what's the setup?" Because last time I saw Jamie Lemon, he played with a 5-piece band, and then he toured with an 8-piece band playing heavy metal with a brass section.
Right.
Because why not? And he was like, "Oh no, there's just 2 of them." I went, "Oh, okay, is it acoustic set?" He went, "No." I'm like, "How do they do that?" And he was like, "We've been following them on tour. We're still working it out."
I have no idea how you do this. Yeah.
But it sounds fantastic.
Cool.
So I was like, "Okay," and I was like, I was skeptical,
Did they have backing tracks at all? Or?
They had loops for some drum parts.
Right.
But all the guitar stuff was done live.
Right.
And it was a wall of sound, to say the least.
Yeah.
It was incredible. So
without Phil Spector.
Like, yeah, it was that. And I was like, okay, I'd like to get that, you know. Part of me was thinking if I wanted to go out and do a solo gig, it gives me a bit more scope to do that. If we were in such a situation where, you know, bands that were bigger than 2 people were not doable.
Right.
Because, you know, we don't know what the future of gigging is entirely. It may go back to normal, it may not. But hey, at least I've got this little pickup that gives me options.
Absolutely. Well, that was Harley's Tech Corner.
Yeah.
If you have questions for Harley's Tech Corner, please do let us know, and we will try and cover them for you. I've got a section I would like to add in post.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to add that in now. There's been some amazing music released by our local artists from our scene in East Anglia over lockdown, and I really would like to just tell people about them. So we've got some music from Reno and Rome, Anorak Patch, Blue Mean Eyes, Tundra, Kyanos, Honey and the Bear, Connor Adams, Barney Holmes, and I'd like to just give you a little bit of a sample of some of them in a little bit of a compilation, because we can't play all of them because we don't have the copyright for them. No. So yeah, we just want to give you a bit of a taster as a little bit of a break here. So here you go.
6-Week Party by Anorak Patch.
6 weeks, 42 days.
Capri Sun by Barney Holmes.
Capri Sun, Capri Sun.
Devil of the Night by Connor Adams.
Devil of the night, she'll get anything she wants in time.
Breathe In by Kyanos. Jealous of Us by Reno and Rome.
Even if we are dreaming,
The Best Way to Clean It Is to Burn It by Blue Mean Eyes. They Want Us to Die by Tundra, Seymour Quigley, Cult and Book. United We'll Stay by Honey and the Bear.
just as hard as it seems, as much as it hurts, we can wait for.
Amazing. That's, yeah.
Right? You don't know what that sounds like,
I
but
don't.
didn't it sound
I was
great?
going to pretend, but never mind. Will all these songs, or how much of this will be able to go onto the Harley and Josh Show playlist? Spotify
I will
playlist?
put them all on the Spotify
Anything that
playlist,
gets
so they will
released
be
to
available
Spotify?
now if you're listening to this, and they are also all available on Spotify.
Oh, are they?
etc.
That's
So
great.
It's good. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the Spotify playlist that I just
Of course, that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, like I say, this time has been good for a lot of people to be able to kind of sit down and finish those projects, start new projects, and just do something sometimes a bit different.
Absolutely.
You know, the
And just to
limitations
keep themselves going.
Yeah, like the limits that you have can really give you inspiration.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Sometimes it's by working with limits
Yeah.
that you actually figure out what your limits are.
Tell us about your time then.
So
I'm bored of talking about me.
well, yeah, I have been quite busy over lockdown. The first couple of weeks, I was a bit like, nah, I'm good. I don't like this at all. I'm just going to sit in and play Red Dead Redemption 2.
Did you complete it?
Well, as much as you can complete that game.
Yeah.
Soundtrack was incredible. Stuff by D'Angelo on there, Willie Nelson, Josh Homme. So yeah, I was obsessed with listening to the soundtrack for that. So that is good listening for anybody that is interested. So yeah, but the work stuff didn't really stop. So I had all my work cancelled at one of the schools that I work in. Well, two of the schools that I work in. And because they weren't allowing outside sort of private teachers in, which is absolutely fair.
Do you know if that may pick up come September when the schools
Not
go
so
back?
far that I know. They've not changed that anymore. I think there's academies are very wary at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, music teachers are going to have private music teachers are going to have a rough time of it in terms of school. But Moreland Primary were just absolutely fantastic, and they said, look, we know you've had all your work cancelled, all my gigs were cancelled. It was March 18th was like D-Day for me, and it was just like, by the way, everything you know and love is gone, including Glastonbury. So I was just like, I think I was teaching that day, and it was like it was the day that we all went into lockdown. I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. My work's gone. They just like, well, all the key workers kids do still have to come in. So we'll give you time with them, obviously socially distanced, because there was only 10 kids in a day for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So there was a chance for me to sort of sit them down in a big space and sort of show them how to play an instrument that they'd never played before. Which was very rewarding. So yeah, that was fun. But then as people started to realise that it was safe to bring the kids back to school, then they started to sort of come in their droves, which was really good. So we just split them into their own bubbles, and now all the schools back, and each of the year groups have been split up into different bubbles, etc. So yeah, that's been really, really fun. I didn't get to see some of my top students for so long, and then when they did come back to school, it was emotional. Obviously, we couldn't crack on as much as I'd like to because I couldn't have the one-to-one session with them. Because of the limitations, but we did work towards a big performance, which we did yesterday. Actually, if you're listening to this, it was last Monday, it was. We basically had a performance earlier this year at Snape Maltings, which I was talking about on the podcast. And we basically did that performance for the school. I was just sort of, I was Mr. Sound Guy, Mr. Stage Technician, and Mr. Music Guy as well, because I'd written all the backing tracks for it. So I had a little bit of work doing that. We were doing, what we did do, Lust for Life, Running Up That Hill, did a Stormzy track called Crown, we did a Billie Eilish track called Ocean Eyes, and we did a Lana Del Rey song called Born to Die. There was a big breadth. Oh, we did Take On Me by Aha. So it's by Alan Partridge. There was kind of we did a little festival vibe last Friday. Before the weekend, and I set this stage up outside, and it's this stage is about 20 meters squared, I think at least. I think it might be a bit bigger than that actually. So I'd set it all up, and they were like, right, okay, well the performance is done, so you can pack that down. But I was like, well, my PA's set up, and the kids are all out on the field. I think I might as well just give them some live music vibes.
Yeah.
So I put on the whole of 1984's Queen, like Live Aid concert. And it's so amazing watching these like 6-year-olds to 10-year-olds just going, I love this song. And it's just, it goes over generational boundaries, there were a lot of requests for AC/DC and
nice.
Guns N' Roses.
Train them well.
Yeah, absolutely. But that we had to pack it down over the weekend, then I had to put it back out yesterday and set it up for them. This is the reason why I'm not a stage technician all the time, just when I'm asked to be, because it's stressful.
Yeah.
And there's just, especially when people don't know what they need or what they want in terms of sound, and they're just like, can you just make it do a thing? And you're like, I need specifics.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like, do you actually know how many mics you need? 1, how many people are singing individual parts? About 6. Then you need 6 mics. And we'd only had like 2 or something like that to work with.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was what was very rewarding, and like you were saying about seeing Charlie going down the rabbit hole of falling in love with mixing and mastering and sort of doing the production side of it.
Yeah.
And you kind of see a bit of yourself in that.
Yeah.
Sort of standing on the outside looking in. And there was some great moments when I was just sort of walking around the school and loading stuff out and loading stuff in, where I'd sort of walk past a classroom and I'd see one of my students just sitting there noodling on the guitar, not playing anything in particular, but just sitting there, just lost in it. And that was just such a lovely thing to have, where you just suddenly go, oh, that's me 15 years ago, or well, actually 20 years ago, so and just seeing a bit of your development in somebody else's in somebody else's development is really quite special. So I was quite grateful to have that. Yeah, so that was Moreland. We just finished with that, so now I'm on summer holiday. They asked me to do a bit more hours, but I was like, I've been quite flat out 5 days a week for about a month and 2 months actually.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, you know what, everybody else is having a summer holiday, so I'm just gonna take a break, I think. But I've still got other stuff going on. Thank you. At the beginning, I was recording guitars for Battletoads. We've talked about that on the show before. If you'd like to know about how I recorded that, what kind of gear I used to get a good studio recording sound for a guitar when you're living in a 2-bedroom house where you don't have a studio. Listen to our podcast from about 2 episodes back, and you'll find some really interesting stuff there. So I was very lucky to land that job right as lockdown happened. Otherwise, I would have had no work at all.
I found it quite interesting actually, because after having that podcast, doing that podcast, you talked about what amp do you use?
It was Helix Native.
So what amp mod?
It was the PV505, 5150.
51, yeah. So I afterwards used that amp, had to play around with that amp, and that's kind of been my go-to.
Oh, really?
I even used it on one of Charlie's quite laid-back songs, just for a lead line. I'm like, this amp's actually a lot more versatile than you might think.
You'd think, right? It's quite top-endy.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of metal guitar amps are just got a lot of chug and, not a lot of... They're so scooped most of the time, aren't they?
Yeah.
So to have a bit of that does help. Anyway, so do listen to the podcast from before if you're interested in that. I threw myself into writing stuff for my solo project, and finding a way for me to gig that, because what I really wanted to do was just to go out and gig it before lockdown happened and just do some open mic nights and stuff like this. But this kind of forced me to really evaluate what my setup was going to be, what the stage show would be like, and especially the tech sort of rehearsal. So I used the live streaming to sort of rehearse that. So that was really quite fun. And I've probably written about 6 or 7 songs that I'm sort of trialing out and not recording yet, just gigging them a bunch to sort of iron out the creases, because there's been a lot of times when I've sort of been playing and I think I'm going into the verse, but I'm not. So, and I'd left another couple of bars, and I'm sitting there going, it doesn't work. Maybe it works on the listen, but it doesn't work on the play. It's kind of, I need it to be able to work for my fingers, not just for other people's ears. Otherwise, it just sort of doesn't feel like it's my song.
Work smart, not hard.
Yeah, exactly right. I've been doing that. I've been live streaming with the Buccaneers. We were hoping to do a lot of recording of videos and songs to release, but nailing people down when it's very tough for people to kind of come out of a bit of a shell has been tough. So it's just been a bit of fun on Sundays, giving little pirate facts and pirate stories and doing little pirate quizzes. I've been doing things like, I'm going to play a song. Before I do that, can anybody tell me in the comments what is a scuttlebutt? And then I'll play a song and I'll be like, scuttlebutt is a butt of water that has had a hole in it. So a scuttle, when you scuttle something, you put a hole in it, and a butt, like a butt of water, like a cask. So that it'd be trying to make it a little bit more interesting, and it gets people commenting, which really does help your algorithm. If people are commenting on a live stream, then it just bumps it up to people's news feeds, so you get more views that way. So it's just always a good idea to, just to interact with peeps. You know what I mean?
It's good to know if you're watching a live stream, get interactive, because that. That really helps someone get seen and get heard.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it really does. Yeah, especially if you're a supporter. Recently, a couple of weeks back, we did a little pre-recorded live gig at the East Coast Diner in Woodbridge, which was thanks to Ben Osborne of Noise of Art, and it's sort of First Light Festival. And it's going to be an online festival that goes on at the end of this month. So it's probably going to be next week. It's going to come out. And it was just Rich Murray and I playing 4 songs, I think it was. An original and a bunch of like sort of rockabilly blues and rock and roll. Just as the first time that we'd played together in months. And we nailed it. It was so good. I mean... Probably I'll listen back to it. I was like, we're not quite at the standard we used to be, but it's what happens when you don't actually play with another musician for months.
It's a muscle, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. You've got to flex it.
Rebuild your music muscles.
So that was really fun. I can't wait for Ben Osborne to release that. Nice little place, the East Coast Diner. It's interesting to see a restaurant actually running with these kind of new guidelines and being a takeout service. And, it's because you hear about it and you order from the places, but you never actually see what they look like. And it's just upturned tables and chairs and, yellow and black tape and these poor people that spend ages, making their venue look exactly how they want it to. And now it just looks like a storage room. Like if you walk past Colt,
going to see it.
right? If you walk past Colt on the waterfront in Ipswich recently,
no.
like it looks like a storage room for furniture because, they've just...
Everything's on top of everything.
Yeah. It's just it's so sad because you know how good those places look, and how much work went into it. But anyway, it will happen again. What else? So the Lockabilly's live stream I'm done with now until further notice. I've done 15 of them every Saturday for the entirety of lockdown so far. And now that we do have a live gig coming up this Saturday at the Steamboat Tavern, which is actually sold out.
Oh, I was going to say, can I come?
Oh, I wish. Sorry, man. But yeah, they sold out within a day.
Of course.
They're only allowed 50 people in, so I'm not like, we sold out 1,000 tickets. But we are, so excited about that.
Yeah.
I did end the Lockabilly's live stream, the Lockabilly's lockdown. We've raised £1,300 for Age UK Suffolk for their Good Day Calls campaign. And that helped out a bunch of people that really needed it during lockdown, as everybody can hear in the news about how difficult it's been in care homes for people. I was quite proud of that. I've had some good friends over that. I think that's helped me to get through it mentally, is just having the same folks every Saturday night just saying, play this one, I loved it when you did it last time, and talking to each other on the comments, which was so fun, just seeing people that hadn't met before becoming mates and then tagging their own mates and then just sort of having this still a community vibe that you would get at a gig.
That's nice. That's nice that can still exist in a new format.
Yes, yeah, definitely. There's still that social. You can still be social, though distanced. So the great thing was, I've talked about this on the show before, but seeing feedback immediately. That's what I used the live stream for my solo stuff. Was just like, did you like that track? What did you think? What do you think it needs? I'll change it because your song's yours until you release it, and it's somebody else's. Now I've played it. It's your track. What would you do with it? That was interesting just to hear a bit of feedback. People saying, I like this one, didn't like this one so much, and so I can sort of adapt my set to it a bit more. I'm trying not to cram too much in. We've got. So I did my Lockabilly stuff, did the East Coast Diner thing, raised the money, worked at Moreland, did their end of year performance, did my back in. So now I'm walking like some kind of weird flamingo. Online teaching's been fun, as fun as it can be. It's not as fun as being with a kid or adult. Watching them really get their technique down and seeing sort of right close what they need to change, because it's very difficult to hear what they need to change when the sound is so compressed, because you might have thought it was fret buzz or what I call fret farts, which makes the kids laugh, or if it was just a weird thing that happened over the stream. So it might have just been like a that suddenly happened. So you'd be like, oh, you messed that bit up. You'd be like, no, I didn't. It wasn't me. I've been working with All Star Rock School, and they are still looking for people. I want to congratulate Rob.
Yeah.
He is going to be taking over the Ipswich side of things on the All Star Rock School as they go global now. They're going to be going global all over the world with All Star Rock School.
Taking over.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rob Lewis will be Mr. Ipswich and sorting all the new bands out for the future.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of a better guy for it.
Definitely not.
So nice one, bud. That's been fun. I've had my student Maisie on bass. I've had a lot of bass students actually.
That's good.
On my online lessons, but Maisie's really been a standout student at All Star for ages, because she just practices. She likes her music. She listens to music outside of the tracks that she's learning, which is great, because sometimes you'll be teaching a student and they'll just listen to the tracks that you've showed them, and otherwise they'll just be watching YouTube. You're like, do you want to play music, or do you just want to be a YouTube star? Because that's fine, but just don't waste your money. And I've been doing what you have been doing with the COVID covers, the covers.
Covers.
Covers 19, or it's Covers 20 now. because we were planning for ages to do like some rockabilly, swing, and rock and roll covers of like tracks from our upbringing, our musical upbringing. So we started off releasing "She Hates Me"
that
by
was great.
Puddle of Mud, which was really fun. Just again videoing it and sending it off to Rainer to edit it. Legendary man he is. Rainer Vandel on YouTube and on Instagram, on Facebook. If you need videos done and if you need drums, he's the man. But he's very busy with a secret project at the moment. So, you are indeed. Well, it's not the Wurzels.
Oh, okay.
It might be comeback tour with our new punk drummer. So we did that. We did the middle by Jimmy Eat World, and we've got 2 we haven't released yet. One which is going to be our sitcom video, which I've been editing using DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah,
talked about this on the show before. That is, I hated it before. Not DaVinci, just editing videos. But this has been the most fun I've ever had editing a video because it's all our friends, family, and fans are all together, sort of pretending to be in a sitcom, and sort of getting that together. And I'm sitting there like laughing to myself, just giggling, like Frankie is poor thing's living with me, like sitting there and I'm sitting there with headphones going.
Do you want to know something interesting? Because me and Charlie, we've submitted our video.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's just have us cheersing our mugs.
Yeah.
And then we look at the camera and we did that. And we both winked at the same time, but
we
hadn't told each other we were going to do that.
And then your bird, which I don't know which one it did, it whistled at the same time you winked. It goes ting. So I kept that in because I thought it was really funny.
Tony, he's a talky boy.
Oh, Tony, talky Tony.
Talky Tony.
Walkie Tony.
Yes.
So that was that. It's now I'm sort of trying to crack on with the concept album that I've been teasing for ages. It's been quite tough to really get myself raring to go on that one because it's such a big project, and I think everybody's been quite deflated by the news and obviously there was the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that as well. So just sort of hearing all those stories come out, everybody's just going, "Oh my god, I didn't realize it was so bad."
Happy about.
Yeah, exactly. So. I'd like to sort of do a little quick thing, a little section here, if I may, of just sort of like how have you dragged yourself out of the hole of being depressed, using music or to do with your career.
I don't know. I feel like I'm still kind of somewhat in the hole. I'm still getting out of it. I found that when I did my first day of paid work. Since February, which was last week.
Crazy.
That gave me a sense of purpose, and I felt very good. Both me and Charlie, we're workaholics, and I feel that I want to say that in a healthy way.
Right. Yeah.
That having something to get up and out of bed for, to kind of do, that's really that was important for me to do and to kind of go, that made me feel good about myself.
Definitely.
We did some running, which we started but haven't really been able to keep up. But that was really good. I quite enjoyed that. Exercise is really good for well-being.
Definitely.
Just to keep you kind of, I don't know, it just releases the right sort of endorphins to kind of make you be a bit more, it's not all bad. So that's something that's been good for me.
I think it's just not being idle.
Yeah.
Which does it. I found today was the first time I've stopped for a little while, and I was just at home this morning. I was like, I can do whatever I want, and I just found myself sort of pacing like some kind of caged animal, just like, I don't know what I want. And then as soon as I started sorting out like the recycling or something like that, and I just took that down to the tip, I was just like, that it takes your mind off it completely. I have, because I've been doing the Moreland stuff, that has really, really helped. Sort of
have a routine.
Yeah, well, have a purpose. Because I've felt like I've actually been helping. That it made me sort of not listen to myself when I was putting myself down in my head. I'm just like, well, you have done something good, so shut up about it.
Yeah, that's it.
And I've kind of been cocooning a little bit. I think that's what a lot of people have been doing. So I've written a couple points here. Josh's points.
Josh points.
Josh points. I'll be awarding them for anybody that tells me they've been doing this. They're worthless unless you enjoy my respect.
They are worth less than Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, 0.0001 pence. So yeah, it was just kind of like how to adapt to the new normal as a musician.
Yeah.
So the first one is social media. All the bands that I've seen around the local scene, I've barely seen any of them now, because I used to see them all the time because I go out to gigs and I'd be talking to mates who are musicians about what they're doing, so I knew what they were up to. But because of this kind of depression thing that we've all had, that a lot of people have just been like, I'm staying away from social media because it just gives me FOMO and it makes me feel less than, you know? And it's just, that's all you find yourself doing is just sort of reading through other people's great lives and going, oh, what am I doing? I'm just sat in my pants.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think people as bands need to be using social media now more than ever. As you know, as useful as it was before, it's invaluable now because nobody's going to know what you're doing because you're not gigging.
Yeah.
So you've either got to use social media and post about what you've done in the past, or to tell them what you're doing now in this sort of new normal. So using those live streams.
Yeah.
I've been streaming on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Facebook's been the best, but that's just where my fan base is. And it's just not as hard as people think it is.
Yeah. To add to that, I think it's very easy to think just because you can't gig and because you're not able to gig, even if you know that you will be able to soon, it doesn't hurt to remain in people's consciousness.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, like Lockabillys have done really well.
Thank you.
You and yourself to kind of remind people that you're still here, you're still making music. So when they finally can leave the house and go watch some music, they'll look to you for where you might be playing because you've already done half the work.
It's so invaluable. Again, I love that word at the moment. For people to think you're crazy busy. Yeah. Sometimes I am sat on my pants, scratching my butt, and going, I don't know what to do with my life. But people are constantly telling me, I know you're super busy, but like so many of my messages start with that. I know you're super busy, but can you do this? And so, yeah, just that perception of you being super busy is so useful. So social media is just the best way to do that. My second point is to find a new revenue stream.
Yeah.
So using the stream. But yeah, I got the idea from Too Little Good Times, who has been streaming regularly as well, to use PayPal. And you get yourself a personalized PayPal URL at paypal.com/lockabillys. And for people that have just been like, look, you don't have to be giving me, 5s, 10s, 50 quid, whatever. Just give me 50p. And it will help us to record new stuff, to stay a band, just to be a business still, because that's exactly what's been happening to loads of other businesses. They've just run out of revenue. So yeah, it's finding that new revenue stream, merch, maybe writing songs for people or using these sort of like fun covers that you do and putting them as ads and things, and so that people will start to actually buy your stuff. Interacting with fans, I think, is another big point. You can really get to know your fan base, and I've been doing that a lot. Because people will be saying, look, I've been really low these past couple of weeks, but watching some live music has really, really helped. So I'll just be like, oh yeah, what's been getting you down? And just having a little chat with people that I don't know, but just having that interaction makes them really much more inclined to come and see you or support you if you do care about your fans, because you need to. That's the only reason you're a thing, is because you have fans.
Of course.
Otherwise, you're just a garage band, right? And nothing wrong with that.
Which we all kind of are at the moment. But
Yeah. Well, some of us have got garages. Yeah, so that, interacting with fans, making more videos. So yeah, using that. I hate editing videos, really do. I don't like to use the word hate often, but I really do hate it.
Yeah.
So, but it's kind of it's either swim or drown, isn't it? So
exactly,
doing that and nothing else. And my last point was to sort of cocoon and choose your moment. So that's what I've been doing a lot of the time. Nobody's been seeing me, so I've kind of been shifting how I dress and how I sound in a lot of stuff, and the kind of music that I've been wanting to write for ages is starting to come out a bit more.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I've been wearing a lot more rings and been sort of like
You look
buying
like a
lot
darts player.
more darts. Thanks, Harley. I was going for Mafia Don, but fine.
Yeah, that
you could
too.
be both.
Or Pirate King.
Hey, he's sleeping with the dots. So yeah, I don't know. It's really helped me to not go down in the pit. Is just feeling like I look good.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I think I was going to go for the grow your hair long, grow the beard. But
why are you gesturing at me when you say that?
Because you've done both those things. But you can grow a fuller beard than I can.
Can I?
Yeah, you can. Trust me.
I just haven't had my hair cut. Like you say that this is a style that I've gone for. No, I've just stopped styling.
Oh yeah, I forgot I've got hair.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've been. All my family are like, just go get your hair cut. I'm like, I don't know. I feel whilst I'm not gigging, this gives me some kind of rock and roll like identity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah, you're like, oh man, I can headbang again.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think like it's one. I did fall into a big pit of depression the first couple of weeks, and a close friend. I just said to him, like, I've been feeling really, really bad. I miss my mates. I miss gigging, and what they said was, yeah, but we all feel like that, and that didn't help. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that what we need to do now is to be a lot more conscious of mental health. I think people are going to be a lot more, because as soon as you see your mates now, the next time you see them, you're going to be like, how are you feeling? And they're going to be like, not great.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to say, okay, I'm going to listen to you.
Yeah.
Rather than just going, well, what can you do?
Yeah.
Because it's just delegitimizes how they feel, and they feel like that it's not that they were feeling bad for no reason at all.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's healthy for people, because it just makes them feel like they're just, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think what we're gonna have to do when we get back out into gigs, socially distant listening.
Socially listening.
Social listening, exactly.
Distant listening.
So anyway, Harley, let's talk about some news.
Music news, here we go with music news.
Let's talk about serious news. So Harley,
Yes.
I was going to try and stay away from the COVID news, but there is some good news coming.
That's what we need. We need good news.
Good news. So
Tell it to me, Josh.
indoor concerts are returning to England next month, the
Fingers
Cultural
crossed.
Secretary has declared. Yes, this is just research that came in today via Digital Music News that I read. Following the success of the outdoor performance program and a trial run for socially distanced indoor entertainment, fans will have the chance to attend indoor concerts beginning on August 1st.
Wow, that's great.
That's like a week and a bit.
Yeah, that's going to be. I mean, that's just an extra step forward in where we want to be. Hopefully,
Absolutely.
Of course, it's going to be limited tickets. I'm sure there will be face masks, so make sure you.
Well, there's not in pubs at the moment.
It's not in pubs.
No, pubs and clubs and restaurants, there's no face masks needed, because there's shops will be 24th.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, if you're a pub or you're in a restaurant, every 5 seconds you can be taken off so you can drink or you can eat.
There's no real need.
And so there's the need, but it's just...
there's no point.
Exactly, because if you're going to let people eat in public, then you're just like, well, there you go. Consistency in messaging, eh?
I'm yet to see someone try and drink a pint through their face mask.
They've got like filters in some of them as well, so just like take all the carbon out.
It's not fizzy.
Not even fizzy, exactly. So yeah, but that was. What do you guys think? So we are doing this gig this Saturday. We an outdoor gig at the Steamboat, and there's 50 people allowed. I mean, that place is usually like 200 people at least.
Yeah, I think it's 160 cap.
Yeah, I think, but with the new spread out and going into the back garden and stuff as well, and they can operate at that, but the problem is it's operating at a loss. So I think ticket prices are going to have to go up.
Yeah.
And there has been talk of people saying, well, if you're going to be opening up theatres and concert venues, the government should subsidise for every ticket sold that they pay for another ticket, so that the venues still make the same amount of money as if they would sold out a full audience rather than just half cap.
Yeah.
But I mean, what do you guys think of that? Do you think the government should be subsidising that, or do you think they've subsidised enough?
That's a good question. I there's a lot to be that will cost a lot of money to do, but at the
Absolutely.
same time,
It will
like
just cost us tax pounds next year.
we will be paying for it one way or other, essentially. But at the same time, if they don't do that, are these theatres going to still exist when we can finally go?
Absolutely.
Is this going to be the end of large like gigs? You know, think stadium gigs. What's going to happen there?
Right.
So that's going to be
It's sporting as well, but
Yeah.
we don't care about that.
nah.
Anyway, so back on more music news. Let's take you another story, Harley.
Let's go and do that. Yeah.
Guitar maker Gibson is seeking the public's help in locating a lost shipping ledger, which is worth a $60,000 reward.
Ooh.
Right? Just over 59 grand. The missing Gibson ledger is shipping paperwork on rare Gibson guitars from the late 1950s, which, I mean, the 59 Les Paul is just like one of the most valuable guitars of all time, isn't it?
What's his name? What's that guitarist's name that's got like 4 of them?
Jimmy Page?
No.
Joe Bonamassa?
Joe Bonamassa.
Yeah.
He's got hundreds of Gibsons,
Oof.
and he's got a large amount of them are like the 59.
He's got a larder of them. Yeah.
He's filled them all with lager.
Yes,
He's got
nice.
3.5 and just poured lager down the F-hole.
Yummy.
Drink it out of the jack
So
pocket.
this ledger, contains authenticity verifying information on some iconic guitars. Gibson says it is offering a 59 grand reward for the ledger's return. No questions asked.
Ooh, okay, that's...
I'll tell you about how it happened.
Okay.
Gibson is also hoping the missing ledgers may have information on lesser-known Gibson models and prototypes. It would help distinguish authentic 59 Les Pauls from the many fakes that appear for sale online. An authentic 1959 Gibson Les Paul can sell for about 500 grand.
Yeah.
They believe that the missing ledger was misplaced, so not stolen, but then, it could have been stolen, who knows, when the company relocated from Michigan to Nashville in the 80s. They struggled in recent years, haven't they, Gibson? I mean, they went bankruptcy last year?
They went under and they've been bought out by another company.
And then they're
And I think they're doing all right now. But
Nashville got hit by a big old tornado.
Yeah, that'll...
And then COVID-19. Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Never rains, it pours. So they've struggled in recent years. I think most of their customer base are going to be sort of the wealthier types that want these very classic guitars, collector's editions and prototypes. The manufacturer filed for bankruptcy in 2018. There it is, 2018, and sold off some of its investments, including Philips. So they owned Philips as well. CEO James Curley took the company's reins and said it would stay true to its historic roots. So I think that's where this ledger story has come in, that they're trying to sort of reclaim some of that.
I would add to that my support, because from what I've understood, their guitars are a lot more traditional now than they were beforehand.
I think you're right.
I think they've dropped their random robotic machine heads and silly designs of hollow body, solid guitar, chambered guitars and stuff. I think they've gone back to that kind of make a guitar honestly.
Back to the real heavy Les Pauls.
Yeah. Goodbye back.
Really, yeah, absolutely. So I would like to get to some questions from the audience. Thank you to Nigel for this question. Harley, how do you feel about large outdoor and indoor gigs going ahead in the near future?
I would like to see them happen.
Yeah.
I fully support the the social distancing gigs and stuff. I see a lot of people, a lot of musicians you may see having the green hashtag, let the music play. And a lot of people misread the hashtag because that seems to be the theme for this year of misunderstanding short sentences to represent a much larger cause.
Exactly, like Susan album party.
Yes, yeah. Google that.
Susan album party. Please Google that.
So, like a lot of people complaining that is supporting people putting themselves in danger, but it's more a case of the government aren't helping out musicians whilst that situation's been quiet. Is a issue.
Yeah.
Part of me selfishly is happy to stand back until we're definitely okay to kind of bring this forward, because although I'm not in a great position and I will not survive until Christmas, without some kind of work or income, I can survive and not put my fans / audience / bandmates at risk for a little bit, and I'd like to hold off, and then I would support holding off for a little bit until we can definitely go back and hit the ground running. Then
See, that was what was going through my mind. It was a bit of a conundrum when the Steamboat did ask me about doing this gig on Saturday. I was a little bit and ahhing about it, because not only do we want to be socially distant, we want to be socially responsible.
Yeah.
But knowing that they are a very professional venue that wouldn't open this up without thinking about this, and without without actually organising the place beforehand, they're not allowing people to go inside unless it's like a one-way system. They're keeping people in bubbles.
Few pubs that can do that, actually.
Yes, true. They said, Andy said, so this is why we wanted to get you guys, because we know you're a professional outfit and you will be, responsible. Because we do worry about how we look, because we want people to hire us. So we don't want to be doing something that's, definitely deemed to be socially irresponsible.
It's good that that's a reputation that you have.
Yeah, somehow.
I mean, everyone has wants the reputation of being professional. One would hope that most bands kind of keep that without having to think about it. But hey, it's good that that's paid in fruition, which means you're getting one of the first full band gigs of the year.
I think really what's done that is just not drinking at gigs,
Yeah.
not sleeping around. Anyway, so there you go, Nigel. Hope that's helped. We're for it, but as long as it's socially responsible. Old Sam Baker, our old mate. How do we combat the absolute? I don't know what. I think I've spelt this wrong here. Just put dross.
Dross, yeah, that's a word.
Is that a word?
Yeah.
Okay, good. The absolute dross.
Yeah.
That gets into the charts. Always chart music, always this bad. All right, hot take, Charlie. Is music worse now, or has it always been bad in the charts?
Okay, so I will always repeat this. I've said it many times that, when it comes to pop music, it doesn't matter if I like it, because it's not designed for people like me.
Mm-hmm.
And the people it's designed for essentially are the people who like it. Like this, I'm not saying I'm better than that as a musician. I'm not saying that anyone else who listens to that kind of music is a lesser of me or greater of me. But some people just have their pop music is made essentially for the masses.
Yeah.
It needs to be accessible. Us musicians will probably prefer something with a bit more complexity, because we listen to music every day. We're tuned to a more standard to kind of know, well, come on, give us another chord. Write about something else.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, it's just something nice to have in the background. And if it's complex and challenging to listen to, it's not gonna be as pleasing to the ear as for a casual listener.
Yeah, casual, I think is the right word.
Yeah.
I think that music is really only as good as the time you live in. The thing is with some of the albums I've been listening to recently, I've been listening to the Zootons, I've been listening to some of the old Arctic Monkey stuff, Electric Six, a bit of the Fratellis, stuff that I grew up with. And I remember just at the time I was like, I really like AC/DC, but I'll listen to this new music because all my mates are listening to it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this is all right. But now listening back, I'm like, those are bangers. And nostalgia has such a big part to play.
Yeah.
I think what you're right is the casual listener. Because, when we're listening to something, we want complexity, don't we? And I actually think that sometimes the present, there is no better time for music than the present. And no matter what year you're living in, because we're constantly learning as musicians from past musicians. And we've never had a larger breadth of knowledge, of a knowledge base to build from than now. And I'll say that again in a couple of seconds, because time moves. But it's the interesting thing is that we constantly fed this stuff on the radio that we think is absolute dross. Thanks, I can use that now.
Correctly used.
But the stuff that you find that's just under a rock somewhere sometimes is still the best music you'll ever find, and who cares about the mainstream?
Yeah, I will add, the thing that makes pop music a pop music of its time because pop music from the 70s sound nothing like music of today and whatever.
Pop music, definitely. But the underground music can be stuff that you...
Rock can be rock. And, like, you know, there are songs that rock bands could bring out today that can come straight from the 60s, 70s, 80s.
And vice versa.
And like, because it's a slightly more defined genre than something like pop. But pop is very culturally influenced. So you think about a lot of music that's coming out today, it's
influenced by social media. It's
influenced
influenced by...
like
sort of
producer based, because you've got stuff that can be put into a short clip, and that's why I think there's a lot of music that's come out of like the TikTok culture of a small clip. It will be fed to be something that can be danced to, that like a dance routine that can be added to it, because that's what's a popular app right now.
And meme music as well is such a thing. Like, a lot of my students want to learn this song that's just famous because it was in a meme. And I never heard of it, and probably would never have heard of it.
Yeah.
And it's not really in the charts or anything like this, but it's just something that they absolutely love. So I'm not going to be like, this is awful, I'm not going to teach you it. It's like, it's good to you, so I'm going to show you how to play it.
Yeah, that's it. You know, and our like generation had that. I was listening to the Hamster song. Do you remember that?
What? The dun dun dun.
The gopher thing.
No.
No.
What's the hamster song?
I can't even think. Google it. It's weird. It's just a weird like you know, it was from the era of when they made a dance song that was just a dance song, and then the song was just like a pitch shift. Like they just put a squeaky.
Yeah, it just took super tramp and then pitched out.
That was a serious genre of music, and it's so
true.
ridiculous now. But so
Chipmunking.
you can't ridicule music of today
when we realise what we loved back then.
Exactly. I mean,
good point.
Yeah,
very good point. Right, so a question from Mr. Rob Lewis.
Hi, Rob.
Now
Hi,
we
neighbour.
are, to some extent, hello Rob, able to gig again. Should gigging artists live stream to those that can't be there? And I would say yes. Now that I know how to do that, I'm going to be doing that this Saturday, as people are going to be so used to me gigging every Saturday night that when I can, I'm going to be live streaming to those people that may be at home shielding and can't go out and are feeling very FOMO. Word of the day.
Yeah, and that does bring to a point that's just it's worth mentioning for those who don't spare a thought, because it's easy to forget. We're getting to a point now where we can potentially go out and we can start going to pubs. We can start going, and being a bit more sociable, as long as we're, sensible. But there are some people who are very vulnerable that they're not even close to being out of the woods yet. They can't really begin to move on and live their life normally until this is completely well and truly over and done with,
or until they've adapted to the new normal.
Yeah.
So I think we have a social responsibility as musicians to help keep people out in some kind of sense, rather than not actually out but in. So yeah, I think you're right, Rob. I think we should do it if we can. We should, if the internet's working, because some of the places in Suffolk that you gig, there will be no 4G or no Wi-Fi.
Of course. Yeah.
John, Mr. Spoony from Hope Ahead, who were my friends with. Oh yeah, that was one thing I didn't say I was doing. I did Lock East, little smokehouse festival that they did of artists all day, and I did a set on that one.
Nice.
And so did Hope Ahead. So well done, John. That was a great one. He says, I'd love to hear you guys discuss your personal thoughts on capacities, distancing measures, and comfortably attending live gigs going forward. I mean, so how long until you feel like you want to go to a gig, Harvey?
I mean, we've been looking around now. Gigs are coming out. Like Rob's been doing the odd gig. We've been going, let's go, but we're also Googling the venue if we haven't been there before and going, how is this going to work? Mm-hmm. If it's a venue we know and we know that it will work in an outdoors environment where we're not going to kind of be squished up against a wall because there's someone walking past us, then we'd be okay to go. If it's a new venue that we've not been to before, we'd probably want to extensively research in that.
It also depends on the clientele as well. You wanted to, if you can find that out, because there have been people that have been very flippant, and it has enraged me quite a lot.
Oh God, yeah.
Right, just to be walking in a shop when you've got gloves and a mask, and there's some idiot that's just walking the wrong way and hugging his mates.
People do not pay attention to the arrows, do they?
No, all that sort of stuff, right? But so if you're going to be going to some a dive bar and there's a gig going on, the kind of people that might be turning up might not be as conscious as you are, and also the venue owners might not be conscious. So I think it really does depend on the venue and on the clientele, whether you should go to one of these gigs. Something like the Steamboat, which is a classy joint, and they're responsible people. I thought that's fine, but I've had some offers from other places where I've looked at it and thought they're not going to be taking this seriously, so I'd rather not. And I've just told them I'm busy. And
in terms of using time as a thing, as the gates open further and we start to kind of find where the new normal is. I like to remind a lot of people, and I need to remind myself as well. I'm not a scientist.
Right.
I
don't believe everything that's on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with the government's recommendation.
Yeah. Even if it is sporadic, it's still I don't know. I'd still trust it more than some randomer.
Yeah, they're not sitting in a room without any advisors who aren't professionals. They are basing their decisions on research and on data, which I don't have.
Yeah.
So,
and no matter how politically motivated people think that it is, I would still trust a kind of a well-informed group of people giving out a voted on decision on stuff than some bloke that just made a meme. I think a mate of mine put up a video. No, it wasn't. It was just a picture of a scientist, and it said this scientist from Sweden predicted COVID-19 back in 2017, but nobody listened to him. And then in the text underneath, he said, "No, he didn't. Any idiot could edit a photo and put this in there. Don't read what you find on social media."
Yeah, that's it.
But so many people would just read the topic and be like, "Yeah, sure, I believe that."
Yeah, exactly. So, as the gates open, I will be there with them. I will make sure I am not touching the said gates in case somebody else has touched it. You know, I'd rather live on the inside of the line rather than the outside.
Yeah,
certainly. I'm not going to be one to test the boundaries.
Yeah, so we're all going to have to get much more dexterous with our elbows.
Yeah,
opening doors. See, as musicians and loading as roadies, etc., we're great with holding a million things in our hands and still using a little finger or an elbow to open a door. Me
and Charlie went to the zoo the other day, and it's great because the way it's laid out, they're quite well prepared for this because there's a lot of one-way systems and stuff to ebb the flow, and they've limited how many people can go through can go in every day, which is great. But we were saying there were certain automatic doors and you open. We've been hitting with our elbows, and I said, make sure you wash your elbows when you get home.
Yeah, that's a good point. Have you been disinfecting your elbows? Tell us in the comments.
Yeah.
So, all right, we do have a singular gig list.
Cool.
On 2nd of August, Mr. Daniel Lee Harvey is organising the 2nd Autism and ADHD Online Music Festival. I was part of the first one, and it was a rousing success. They raised a lot of money for a very worthy cause. They've got artists like Vanya Lima and Honey and the Bear, Barney Holmes doing this. So there's some top-notch stuff going on. That's all going to be from 2:30 to 8:15 p.m. On August 2nd. If you have access to Facebook, do join their group and watch that if you are missing your live music.
That was a great vibe.
Yes.
That was the first time I really saw a vibe online.
Vibes.
First time around.
Love vibes, don't you?
Good old vibes.
So, thank you very much for everybody for listening.
Yeah, thank you all.
It's been an absolute pleasure to see you, Harley.
It's been good.
If you have enjoyed this, please do make sure you like and subscribe and share this. We do games on our games on our social media pages. I've been trying to do them kind of at least every other day for a little while. So just for an idea of what we're doing is what's the first album you ever bought? Let us know in the comments below.
Paparazzi Fest.
the strangest hidden message in a song. So backmasking and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
What's a cover version that people don't realize is a cover? The craziest reason that somebody cancelled a gig. The most, write an obscure song by a famous artist and see if others can guess. So there's loads there. I was going to do a whole thing about like finding out my favorite from each of these. My favorite comment from each of these, but instead I'm going to just read out, I think, the top game entry for all of these games. All right. So this is mine. If you've got any in your head, Harley, please do. So it was, what's the craziest? Oh, sorry, I should say it properly. Well, what's the craziest reason somebody cancelled a gig? Scott Norman, your legend.
Yeah.
On Coheed and Cambria, on tour supporting Soundgarden, the bassist of Coheed, Michael Todd, robbed a pharmacy with a bomb threat, walked up to the clerk, showing a note on his phone saying he had a bomb on him and he'd detonate it if all the Oxycontin wasn't handed over to him. The police traced him to the venue by following the GPS history of the taxi he took to and from the drugstore. He was arrested hours before they were due to play.
Wow.
Right? I've got to say one more, though. It's not tied because this second one's amazing. But Scott's one has to win for that one. So Daniel Lee Harvey, on an early Parliament tour, bassist Billy Bass Nelson was navigating and thought he'd had found a shortcut to Ohio. George Clinton, the leader of Parliament, recalls, "We ran into a roadblock, went about a mile along the road and came out into a small town where we saw all these creatures walking around, zombies or mummies, hands up in the air and dead looks on their faces. We were scared out of our minds." End quote. When they saw the Klieg lights, they realised it was not an actual town of the undead, but a movie set. They had stumbled into the filming of George Romero's classic horror movie Night of the Living Dead, and was subsequently late for their next show, which had to be postponed.
Why is it always the bassist?
On that note, I've been Josh Locke.
I've been Harley Cotton.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.